Hi. From this video onwards, we are going to start our new course that is Web3.js. What is Web3.js, right? Web3.js is actually a collection of libraries which allow us to interact with a local or remote Ethereum node. Hmm, this definition doesn't make any sense, right? I know. So let us see with the help of an example. So let's say you have your own node, okay? You have created your own node by installing Git, and now you want to interact with this Ethereum blockchain network. You want to interact with all the nodes that are part of this Ethereum blockchain network. Now, in order to communicate, you need a language, right? Because let's say you are in this, let's say you are at this part of this world and these are at another part of the, another world, something like that. And we want to communicate. So, in order to communicate, we need a language. And Web3.js is that language which actually helps one node to interact with another node. And not only this, with the help of Web3.js library, you can connect your front end. Let's say you want to create your own decentralized application in which you have your front end created with React.js or let's say Next.js, whatever programming language that suits you for creating a front end. And you want to connect your front end with your smart contract. And the problem here is that your front end that you have created using React.js or Next.js belongs to a real world, right? Belongs to the real world actually. While if we talk about our smart contract belongs to the blockchain world. So it is very clear that these two technologies are a part of different worlds. So we need a way with the help of which these two different worlds can connect with each other, right? They can connect with each other. And that way is Web3.js. The Web3.js library not only help us to interact with the other Ethereum nodes, but it also helps to create our decentralized application so that when we create our React.js code, when we have created our smart contract code, we can connect these two different codes with the help of Web3.js library. So this is the beauty of Web3.js library, and this is what we are going to talk about in this course. Let us see the course overview, what we are going to see in this course. We are going to talk about what is Web3.js that we have actually talked about. Then we are going to talk about the types of modules that Web3.js actually provide us with, which actually makes the life of a blockchain developer very easy. Then we are going to see how we can connect to our blockchain using Web3.js library. And then we are going to talk about interaction with our smart contract using Web3.js library. So we are going to do a lot of practical stuff and we are going to learn so much about Web3.js library. So after this course, you can create your own decentralized application, or if you want to interact with a node, you can do that by watching this course only. Now, as a prerequisite of this course, the only thing that you require is a little bit knowledge of JavaScript and a little bit knowledge of Solidity. So if you know how to call a function, how to create a function in Solidity and JavaScript, then you can take this course. I'm not talking about expert level knowledge, only the fundamentals, okay? So if you know that, you can take this course. Now, before going to our practical stuff, let us see some of the modules that Web3.js library provide us with. So Web3.js library is a collection of modules that contain functionality for the Ethereum ecosystem. And yes, one thing which is actually obvious as well, but let me tell you that Web3.js is a JavaScript library. So if you do not know JavaScript, then definitely you will face a little bit difficulty during this lecture. But don't worry, I will try to make this lecture simple for you. But still, if you are facing any kind of difficulty regarding the syntax of JavaScript, I will suggest you to watch our JavaScript course. That will definitely help you. Okay, so let us see the different modules that Web3.js library provides us with. So the first module that Web3.js library provides us with is Web3eth. And this Web3eth is a module that we are going to use a lot in order to communicate with our smart contract. Then the second module that Web3.js library provides us with is Web3 utils, which contains the useful helper functions for Dapp developers. Let's say I want to convert ethers into Wei, or let's say Wei into ethers. So all these things I can do with the help of Web3 utils module. Then the third module that Web3 provides us with is Web3 SSH, which is for the Whisper protocol. And the fourth module is Web3-BZZ. Actually, it is dot only. The presentation I have just used dash convention. Talk about the modules. Web3-BZZ is for the Swarm protocol, the decentralized file storage. But we are not going to talk about these two modules in this particular course because these two modules are not very much used whenever you are creating your decentralized application or whenever you are talking to the blockchain or the smart contract. In future, definitely I will make a separate video for these two modules. But for now, I'm going to talk about Web3 ETH and Web3 Utils module, which you used a lot as a blockchain developer. Okay, so now let us go to our VS Code and let us connect to our blockchain as our first practical work. Okay, so now we are on our VS Code, and in this I'm going to create a folder. So I'm going for the file option, then I'm going for this open folder button, and now I'm going to create a new folder by the name of Web3.js. Okay, and I'm going to add a E here. Definitely it's your choice. The name of the folder can be anything, right? Now what we will do is we will simply go to our terminal by clicking on Control plus backticks, and here I will do npm init --y. So this will give us our package.json. And now what I will do is, let me first of all clear it. I will install Web3 module. Okay, so here you can see that our Web3 module is installed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my Ganache because I'm going to connect to our Ganache blockchain, and the process to connect to our Ganache blockchain and to our any other blockchain like to our testnet or mainnet is a same only. So there is not much difference. There will be a different, but I will tell you that. Okay, but for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it with our Ganache. And first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one file by the name of connect to blockchain.js. Okay, and now what we are going to do is now we are going to write our web3.js file in order to connect to our Ganache blockchain. Let's see. So first of all, I need to import our web3, and when I do const web3 equal to require, so what I'm doing is I'm importing my web3 module. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm importing my web3 module, then so that I can use it, right? Then we are going to create our function, and this will be a async function because we are going to use promise. So I'm going to have this async function, and let me name this function as let me have a connect function call here as well so that I don't forget. Okay, now inside this connect function, what I'm going to do is first of all I need to connect our web3.js or our code to our blockchain, right? So first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a provider, and inside this provider I'm going to talk about, like I'm going to write about the blockchain to which I'm going to connect. So for that I'm going to create a object, our web3 object. Okay, I have imported this. Now I am using this object, then providers dot http provider, and inside this I will provide the URL of my blockchain. So I'm going to talk to our Ganache blockchain actually. So I will copy this particular URL, this RPC server URL. I will paste this. Okay, now this is our provider. Now the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create our web3 object. So new web3, and inside this I will provide my provider. Okay, so this will actually give us our web3 object, and this object will consist of so many different modules that we have talked about. That is Web3 ETH, Web3 SSH, Web3 BZZ, so many different modules, and we can see that as well. So let me console.log this Web3 so that I can show you that this is an object and it consists of so many different things. Save it. Let me run this particular file by writing. Let me first of all clear it. What I will do is I will do node connect to blockchain. This is our file name, and then yes. So if everything works fine, you will see that this is your web3 object. So this is the object that we have console.log, and you can see that it has so many different things, right? It has so many different things, and we are going to use some of them. So don't worry, you can see that it has so many different things. So this is your ETH, right? This is your ETH. Then you have your, show you your, so there are so many things, BZZ. So they are, all the modules are present inside this web3 object, which we are going to use. Okay, and then let us try to first of all get all the accounts that are present in our Ganache blockchain. So in this Ganache blockchain, if you will see, we have around 10 accounts, 10 different accounts, and let us fetch all these 10 different accounts. So the first step is done. We have connected to our blockchain. So let me write it down here as well so that you are also excited. Connected to our blockchain here. Okay, the first step is done. Now the second step is to fetch the accounts, right? So what we are going to do is fetch the account addresses. In order to fetch it, we are again going to have our variable actually accounts and then await. Why await? Because we are going to talk to our blockchain, and what we are trying to say is till we are not getting our response, till then please wait. So what I'm doing is await web3. Now I'm going to use the eth module, and this eth module provide us with this method by the name of get accounts. I'm going to use this. Okay, so this web3.get accounts will give us all the accounts that are present in our Ganache blockchain. Okay, and let me console.log this so that I can show you as well. Okay, again comment it out. So again, let me tell you why I'm using await, because I'm telling, like, because if you will see this particular statement, this will take some amount of time, right, to get back the result, because this code will then go to the blockchain, will fetch all the accounts, so it will take some time. So what we are trying to say is that wait till we have all the results. So wait till we have all the results, and that's why we are doing this await. So it will await for some time till we have all the results. Once we have all the results, we will go to the next line, that is console.log accounts. So let me save this. Let us check this. Clear it. First of all, I will do node. Then again, let's do the upper arrow key. So it will give us the previous account command actually. And now you can see that we have fetched all the accounts that are present in our Ganache block. Isn't it cool? This is so cool. Like I did the first time, I was so excited. I was like, wow, we are talking to the blockchain. We are having a communication with the blockchain, right? Okay, now let us try something different. Let us try to fetch the balance of a particular account. Okay, and remember this, that this is an array. Okay, this is an array which consists of 10 different accounts. So if you want to fetch a single account, what you have to do is you have to simply write the account index. So in this case, let's say I want to fetch this 0th index array, or not array actually, 0th index account. So I have to simply write 0. Let me save it. Let me run it for you so that you can see that as well. So you can see that this is the 0th index account that is present in our Ganache blockchain. Okay, now let us try to fetch the balance of this account. Okay, and in order to fetch the balance of this account, I have to simply write const balance, and the balance that we are going to fetch will be in way. So remember that whenever you are actually doing any kind of transaction, okay, using web3.js library, in that case, those transactions are in terms of way only. So those transactions are in terms of way, and let me show you that as well. So this balance will be in way, and let me do web3 again .eth. I'm using the eth module. Now I'm going to use this function by the name of get balance, and inside this I will provide the account address. So let's say I want to fetch the balance of this account 0 only. So I will simply write account 0. And now what I will do is I will console.log this particular balance. Let me save this, have this printed out. And now we clear this. Okay, mistake. Now again, I will do node connect to blockchain.js. And you can see a long value, right? This long value is because this handed ether that are associated with this account are converted into way. But it might be possible that you are like, okay, but I do not want this balance in way. I want this balance into ether only. So what should I do in that case? Simple. You have to simply use the utils library. So let us do that. Let me write it down. And I will share the everything like with you on the GitHub profile so that you can use it afterwards. You have the account, is the account balance, right? Okay, let's go to the next line. In the next line, what we are going to do is we are going to convert our balance to ether. And in order to do that, I will again create a variable by the name of balance. And then again, I am going to do web3.utils. Now I'm using the utils module, and this provides us with this function by the name of from way. And in this from way, I have to provide the way balance first of all, that is balance way. And then I have to provide the ether unit, that is Ether. So this will make sure that our this balance way get converted into Ether balance. And we can check that as well. Sol.log balance Ether. Let us check this. Let me out. Let me run this once more. Let's see the balance. You can clearly see that the balance is in 100, right? So we have converted this way value to this Ether value. And let's say if you want to again convert this balance Ether to way, right? For some reason, let's say you want to send some Ether from one account to another account. And in that case, you need to have a way value. So what you are going to do in that case, what you are going to do is you are simply going to have balance, let's say 2. Okay. And in this, again, you are going to use web3.utils. This time you are going to convert from Ether to way. So you will write two way. Okay. And then again, you will write the balance Ether. And again, you have to write Ether here only, right? You do not need to write way here. You have to write Ether only. The only thing that will change is this particular statement. So this is from way and this is to way. Let me again console this so.log and then balance with 2. Great, right? Comment this out. Save it, run it for you, and bang. Here you can see that this 100 Ether got converted back to way, right? So isn't it cool, right? We have done so many different things using Web3.js library. We have talked to our blockchain. We have seen how we can fetch the different accounts. We have seen how we can get the balance, right? And how to convert the balance. Okay, there might be one confusion here that in the previous statements, I was using await here, right? But in these statements, actually, I'm not using any await. And the reason for this is very simple because in this, we are not actually talking to our blockchain. We are simply doing a unit conversion. We are not talking to our blockchain. So we do not have to wait for a while. It will be done by the utils package in a quickest way possible, not a quickest way possible. Okay. So we do not need to have a wait keyword here. But in these cases, since we were talking to the blockchain, we need this await keyword so that we can wait for the response. And when the response is reached, then only we are going to the next line. But in this case, it is a fast process. We are not talking to the blockchain. We can do it in a nanosecond, I think. I will say. Okay. So it will not be a time taking process. And that's why I'm not using await here. Okay. Great. So now in the next video, what we are going to see how we can transfer Ether from one address to another address. Okay, everyone. So now in this video, what we are going to do is we are going to see how we can send Ether from one address to another address. And to do that, first of all, again, we need our Web3 module. Okay. Require Web3. Okay. Then again, we need a function so that we can call by the name of, let's say, send Ether. Definitely the name can be anything. It's up to you. And since we want to connect to our blockchain, we are going to have the provider, right? And we have talked about this in the previous video. So new Web3, and you do not need to remember all these things. This is a simple syntax which you will get to know once you will do a lot of practice. So just don't worry about the syntax part for now. To remember the syntax part actually. And inside this, again, we will have our Ganache HTTP address, TTP address actually. And then again, we will have the Web3 object. Actually help us to connect to the blockchain or to call various functions, right? Which actually help us talk to our blockchain. Okay. Now, in order to send Ether from one address to another, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another variable by the name of transact. And then I'm going to use await web3.eth. Okay. So you can see that we are continuously using this eth module because this is one of the most important module. And in order to send Ether, what we are going to use is a send transaction method provided by our eth module. And inside this send transaction method, we are going to have an object, and this object will have 3 different keys. The first key will be from, like, the address from which we are going to do the transaction, the from address. Then we are going to have 2, means the address to which we want to do this transaction. And then the third, that is the value, the amount of value that this from address wants to send to this to address. Now let me copy some of these addresses. So let's say I want to have this address, my from address. So I will copy this down. Okay, copy this down. I will simply have a string like this, then comma, then to address. Let's say I want to have this my to address. So I will again copy this down. I will paste it here. Now let's say I want to send 10 ethers. Okay, I want to send 10 ethers from this address to this address. Now I cannot simply write 10 here. Why? Because if I'm going to write simply 10 here, it will not be acceptable. Because as I said in the previous video as well, that whenever you are doing any kind of transaction, you have to do that kind of transaction in Wei and not in ethers. So what I will do is I will simply use web3.utils library. Okay, and I'm going to convert my 10 this okay, my 10 ether into Wei. Okay, because as I said in the previous video as well, when you are using this two-way, you are actually converting your ether value to a Wei value, right? Definitely I need to have a comma here. Now by this, what I'm doing is I'm simply transferring 10 ethers from this address to this address. And let me console dot log this particular transact variable so that we can see what is inside this particular variable. And we will get to know a lot of information about this transaction by consoling.log this particular transact variable. Let me save this. Let me open my terminal once more and let me check the initial balance of this account. So the initial balance of this account is 100 ether. The initial balance of this account is 100 ether. Okay. Now what I will do is I will do node and then I will do send ether.js, enter. Okay, I think, okay, we haven't called this function, right? This send ether function. Call this, do this. Now let me again this array. So here you can see that this is the transact variable which have so much different information. We will talk about this, but before that, let us see whether the transfer has been done or not. And you can see the transaction has been done from this address. 10 ether has been detected, right? Earlier it was 100, now it is 90. And in this address, you can see that 10 ether has been increased because 10 ether has been decreased, 10 ether has been increased. So 100 plus 10, that is 110 ether. So our code is working perfectly fine. And we can see the information about this transaction in this transact variable. So here you can see this, the transaction as this is the transaction hash. Okay, this is the transaction index. This is the block hash at which block this transaction has taken place. We can see in our Ganache as well. So in this, we will go to the block section and this we will go to this. And here, if you will see, this is the transaction, right? From B97, we have transacted, like we have transferred 10 ether to this address, right? This is the value. And you can see this, the block hash, and this is the transaction hash. And you can see the same information here as well. So you get to know about so many different things, like where this transaction is taking place, who is doing this transaction, the amount of gas used, everything from this transact variable. Okay, so this is good. We have seen how we can transfer ether from one account address to another account address using web3.js library. Hi. Now in this video, we are going to see how we can connect our smart contract, interact with our smart contract using web3.js library. It will be an exciting lecture because we are going to see how we can read our smart contract that is deployed on the blockchain, as well as how we can write to our smart contract that is deployed on the blockchain. The contract that you are seeing on your screen is a very simple smart contract. We have simply created a smart contract by the name of symbol storage. It has actually a variable by the name of A. Okay, and it is initialized to 10. And then we have this setter function to set the value of this state variable by whatever value we are going to pass as an argument to this setter function. And then we have this getter function in order to get the value of this A variable. So it's a very simple smart contract that we are going to use in order to connect with our web3.js library. Let us see that. Now, first of all, I need to deploy this smart contract on our Ganache blockchain. Now, in order to deploy this smart contract on our Ganache blockchain, we have two options. First option is that we should use Truffle, and I have talked about Truffle, right, in my Truffle course. If you haven't watched that, you can watch that course. Or what we can do is we can use our Remix ID in order to deploy this smart contract on our Ganache block. Let us see how we can do that. So first of all, what I will do is I will go to the deployed section, and in this, I'm going to select this injected provider MetaMask. Now, once I will select this injected provider MetaMask, you will see that my MetaMask account get connected to my Remix ID, right? The same address you can see here as well as here. But since we want to deploy our smart contract on the Ganache blockchain, what I will do is I will select my Ganache UI. Now, in your case, it might be the case that you might not be seeing any option as Ganache UI. Now, in order to have your Ganache UI, what you have to do is you have to go to this particular button, then go to the settings option, then to the networks option, and in this, just go to this Ganache, not actually Ganache UI, you have to go to this add network button. For you, you have to click on this add network button. I will click on this Ganache UI button so that I can show you what information you need to fill. So once you will click on that add network button, you will see an empty template, right? But in my case, since I have opened my Ganache UI, that's why I'm seeing this information. But in your case, you might be seeing an empty form, and you have to fill the form with the same information that is provided in my wallet. Okay, so you need to have this RPC URL, which is actually given here. Okay, this one. And then as the chain ID, you must have this 1337, and definitely the currency symbol is whatever you want, and the blockchain explorer, this is totally optional, and this is up to you. But these two things must be the same as it is shown on my screen. Okay, so do not make any mistake while copying these two things. Now once you will copy this down, what you will see is, okay, so once you will copy this down, you have to simply click on the save button, and now you will have your own Ganache network connected to your MetaMask wallet. But just having your Ganache network is not more than enough. Now what you need to do is you need to import some accounts so that you can deploy your smart contract, right? Currently you can see that my account section of Ganache is totally empty. We do not have any ethers, right? So in order to import some ether, what I will do is I will go to Ganache, I will go to my account section, I will select any of these addresses, and then I will click on this show keys button, and in this I will copy my private key. Okay, I am copying my private key, not the account address. Just copy this down, then go back, again click on this button, then import account, paste your private key here, and then import. Now once you will do this, you will see that ether is transferred, actually not transferred, it is actually detecting your ether from your Ganache blockchain, which is this amount. Definitely it is a slightly less amount, so that's why it is showing 89.9996, but this is the same amount. Okay, now we can deploy our smart contract on the Ganache block. Let me go back. So if you will see, this my Remix ID is connected to the MetaMask wallet, and my MetaMask is actually connected to my Ganache. Can confirm it as well. Okay, let me connect. So now my this account is connected to my Remix ID. Now what I will do is I will simply click on deploy button. You can see that our MetaMask is popped out because we are using MetaMask in order to deploy this smart contract. And since we are making some changes on the blockchain, right, by deploying our smart contract, we need to pay some amount of fee. Okay, here the transaction is successful, and now we have our smart contract. Okay, and now what we will do is we will simply copy the smart contract address because we are going to use it in order to connect to our smart contract. And we also be needing is the ABI of our smart. So to get the ABI of our smart contract, we need to go to the compile section. In this, we have to copy this ABI. Okay. Okay. Now let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. In this, let me create a new file by the name of read contract.js. Okay. And let me again, first of all, import my Web3 new, not actually new, wire Web3. Then we will have the async function by the name of read. Okay, and again we will have the same thing, the provider. So I am copying, trying to write it fast. In this again you will have your Ganache URL, which copy it down just in a second. Web3 new, then Web3 and the provider. Okay, now first of all let me paste down my ABI of our smart contract. Okay, so API, have const API. Okay, I'm going to talk about it, so don't worry. Let me first of all copy this RPC URL from here and let me paste it. Okay. Now, in order to our smart contract interaction, in order to talk to our smart contract, we need two things. First one is the ABI. We have copied this down. And second one is the contract address. And why do we need that? Because if you remember from our Solidity tutorial, I have talked about this, right? Whenever we want to interact to our smart contract, we need the ABI of our smart contract so that we can talk to our smart contract. Any third party application which wants to talk to our smart contract needs the ABI of our smart contract. And that's what I have copied here. And another thing that we need is the contract address so that we can know where our smart contract is located. Okay, so let me go back and let me copy this contract address as well. Down here, this I will have my contract. Okay, done. So now we have the ABI as well as the contract address, and now we are ready to interact with our smart contract. And for that, first of all, what we need to do is we need to create an instance of our smart contract, means we need to create an object of our smart contract. And for that, I am going to use new keyword again, then web3.eth.contract. So this time I'm using a different method by the name of contract. And in this contract, I'm going to pass the ABI and the contract address. So this will actually help us in creating the instance of our smart contract, the object of our smart contract, with the help of which we are going to interact to our smart contract. Let me show you this instance. Console.log this contract. Okay. Now let me clear all this thing. Now what we will do is node read contract.js. Yes, let me call this as well. The function name, let me call this. Okay, now I am running this file. Okay, so I think we made some mistake. Syntax of should be HTTP, this should be providers. Now let me do that. Okay, again, there's a mistake. Huh? Okay, the mistake is here. It should be provider. Now let me do this again. I think this time it will work. Okay, wonderful. So now if you will see, we have our contract instance. This is our contract object, which have so many different functions. And if you will go down a little bit, you will see your getter as well as setter function, which are the part of our smart contract, right? So this is the part of our smart contract, the setter function and this getter function, and the same functions you can see in your contract instance as well, in your contract object as well. And now what we can do is we can simply call this setter function and getter function using the instance of our smart contract that we have created. Let us do that. Let me comment this out. Now let us try to do const the await contract. Okay, so this is the instance that we have created. Now in this instance, I want to call a method. So I will do methods. Okay, and in this I will write the name of the function which I want to call. Since I want to call this getter function, I will use this getter function and then I will call this one. So this is the function that we want to call, and the remaining part is the syntax. This is the contract instance that we have created here, and this is the methods so that we can call this getter function and then we are calling this. Okay, and let us see the result as well. .log the data. Let me again run this. Okay, run this. So here you can see that it is returning us with 10. Why 10? Because if you will go back to your remix ID, if you will see your smart contract, we have initialized this a variable by this 10 value, right? So when we are calling this getter function, it is returning this 10 as a value. Isn't it great? Now we have seen how we can interact with our smart contract. I hope you enjoyed this video. But in the next video, what we are going to see is we are going to call this setter function in order to interact with our smart contract. And there we are going to see a different kind of syntax. Why? You will see that in the next video. Okay, so now in this video, we are going to see how we can write on our smart contract using Web3.js library. So in order to do that, we have to simply create a new file by the name of write contract.js. Okay. And what I will do is I will simply copy this whole. Yes, we are not going to do it from scratch. It is everything is the same, right? The only thing that we are going to make changes is in this particular part, and not actually in this whole part, but this part. So remember one thing, guys. Whenever you are reading from your smart contract, then you are going to use this call function. But when you are writing on your smart contract, when you are changing your smart contract in any way, then instead of this call, what you are going to use is this send, or this send function, okay, not this call function. And definitely, since we are actually setting the value, so I will call this setter function. And this, let's say I am passing 20 as an argument to our smart contract. And in this send function, I'm also going to mention from which address I want to do this transaction. Why? Because whenever you are writing to your smart contract, right, you are making changes on the blockchain. And whenever you are making changes on the blockchain, you need to pay some amount of fees. And for the fees to be deducted from your account, you need to have your account as well, right? So for that, I'm going to pass an object inside this, and that object will have the from address. And in this from address, I can select any of the addresses that are given here. Let's say I am selecting this address. So a small fees will be deducted from this particular account. Let me paste this account address here. Okay, so this is a necessary step whenever you are writing on the blockchain. Whenever you are reading from the blockchain, it is not necessary. But whenever you are writing on the blockchain, whenever you are changing your smart contract in any way possible, then you have to have your from address as well. Okay, now let me again run this contract. Not actually contract, this particular file by the name of write contract. Run this, and here is the transaction that has been done, and we can check the value as, let me check the value, whether the value of our a variable has changed or not, by calling this read contract.js. If you remember, in the previous video it was showing us the value as 10, but now since we have passed this 20 as an argument, right, this 20 as an argument to our contract function, this setter function, now it is returning 20 as the value. Okay, so remember, always whenever you are going to change anything on your blockchain or on your smart contract, you have to use this send function and not this call function. Otherwise, everything else will be the same. There will be no changes. In order to interact with your smart contract, you are going to need your ABI as well as the contract address, and you have to create your instance. Once you have your instance, then you have to simply call the function from your smart contract. And the best part is we have seen everything. We have seen how we can read data from the smart contract. We have seen how we can change data on the smart contract. And I think this is the whole thing that we do, right? We either read or either we write, and we have seen all those things. And with this, we have completed our tutorial on Web3.js library. Do let me know in the comment section about the feedback of this course or whether you like this course or not. And yes, if you want to create your own decentralized application using Web3.js library, then you must watch my Truffle course where I have created a decentralized application from scratch using Web3.js library. So I have used Web3.js library, React.js, Truffle, and Solidity in order to create a decentralized application. You can watch this course if you want to go in more depth of Web3.js library.